guys, it's May and welcome back to another Freestyle Friday. I'm hoping this video goes up on Friday. I have to be honest, I'm not feeling real good today, and it's just one of those days where I'm trying to get it done, and so if it doesn't go up Friday, it'll be Saturday, but I will get up as fast as I can, and I apologize for the delay. If you remember when I did the paper bag card, I asked if there was anything you guys were interested in seeing that maybe I had never tried before, and one of the comments and one of my subscribers had mentioned doing a 3D circle album. Well, again, I had no idea what it was, so I did some research and found out what it is, and it's actually pretty cool. I'm going to move this white because I know the camera has a hard time focusing on it, so we don't have a bunch of blur. There we go. It was actually pretty cool, so I thought I would give it a try. Now, what I have done for mine to make it super easy, because like I said, I'm not feeling good, so I was trying to go for the fast route on this one, is I went to the Cricut and I took some 12 by 12 pieces of paper that I liked that actually came from a one of those $5 sets at Michael's, and it's all about peonies. It's really cute. But I took 4 pieces of paper, put it onto the mat, and I did fit to page. Yeah, I hit the fit to page button. And that cut me out 11-inch circles. And you can use any cartridge you have that has a circle on it. I happen to use the Artiste from Close to My Heart, but any cartridge that has a circle will work. So I cut out 4 11-inch circles, okay? And then I cut out one 10 3/4-inch circle, and I'll show you what we're going to use that for later. Okay, so first things first. Because I cut this out on the Cricut, I have a perfect circle. But let's say you did something like use a dinner plate. And let me show you what I mean. I have this dinner plate that I got from the thrift store that was actually originally from, I don't know, from Ross and then at the thrift store. Well, you can use this and do circles on your paper. And this one is big, but it will fit on a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So you can trace something like that and get your circles. If you do that, you may not have perfect circles, so there may be a little bit of error here and there, but don't worry about it. No big deal, because I tried that too and it looked just fine. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. We are going to start, this is thick cardstock. We're going to just take one of the circles, and we're just going to start by folding it in half. And I'm going to fold the white side on the outside and the print in the center. So you want to line up your edges and fold. Now I'm going to crease them really well with a bone folder, because I think that really helps. And if you want to score them first, you can, but because mine are perfect circles, I'm not worried about that. If you were doing one where you trace the dinner plate, what you might want to do is go ahead and score your paper in 4 like this before you do the circle. I think that might help you. Okay, so now you want to line up your other fold line with this fold line and fold your circle one more time. So basically what you've done is you folded your circle into 4, and you're going to go ahead and do that with all your circles. So I'm going to do that real quick. I want to talk about this one for a second. If you're going to be using a circle that has a definite direction that it should be in, you want to be sure you fold it correctly. I want my writing to go this way in my finished project, so I want to turn it to the side so that my fold leaves that writing sitting in the right direction. And once you see this completed, it'll make a lot more sense what I mean by that. Now, you may not can see it, but I have all of my scoring done on all 4 of my circles. There are a couple of ways to do this section. I'm going to show you both ways, and then you can decide which works best for you. One way is to take a pair of scissors and cut up one of the score lines from the edge of the circle to the center. So you'll cut until you get to the center portion of the circle where your score lines cross. And just cut exactly to that line. Now, you can do this and leave it like this for the next portion. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this one way, and then I'm going to show you on another one the second option. Okay? So once you have it cut all the way to this line, you want to do some scoring on your flaps that you've created. So we're going to take this corner and we're going to bring it to the other corner. But I've got to tell you this because I learned this the hard way. Okay? Don't be so fast that you take this and just bring it down, because you will rip the paper here. You want to kind of work it. So you want to kind of put your finger there and just kind of work that paper to loosen up the fibers so that you can get it to go there without ripping terribly bad. And it may still rip some, but it won't be as bad as if you just take it and grab it and throw it up there. So now you're going to score here. And you're going to flip that backwards and score it backwards as well. You need this to have a really good bend in it. Okay? Now, you're going to do exactly the same thing on this side. You're going to take that end flap, work it some here, making sure not to rip that if we can keep from it. Fold it, score it, fold it back on itself, and score again. Okay, so that's one way to prepare your page, and now I want to show you the other. Now the second way to prepare your page is to do the same cut. So you're going to take your scissors, starting at the bottom of one score line, and cut all the way to the center. Right to the center where they all cross. And now, this is difficult with this pattern because it looks very crooked, but it's not. Okay, now you want to come over here. I'm going to flip it over. Much better. Okay, so you're going to see a score line here. What I suggest you do is you take this one flap and fold it about 1/2 inch away from your score line. So just eyeball about 1/2 inch, like so, and score it. This will make more sense as we go. So now what you have is the center line and an extra score line. This has now become a cut line, okay? So now you're just going to cut this piece away. So now that you have this piece cut away, there's only one more thing you want to do. And again, I'm going to show you on the back so you can see the score lines. You want to take your scissors and start kind of deep into one side and go to the score on the edge. And you're going to kind of make a beveled edge, okay? And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And just bevel that till you end up with a flap. So you see how this is shaped? And we'll use that flap to our advantage. Now, I wanted to show you this because you may not feel like doing all this work. You may just want to do the first one that I showed you. But today, I'm going to be doing this one. So we're going to go to the next one and do the same thing. So let's talk through this one again. I'm cutting on the score line all the way to the center section. Okay? And now I'm going to take, and now I'm going to work with it facing up since you saw what we did. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to fold it about 1/2 inch away from that score line. Again, not having to be perfect here because you're not going to see this. It's really just for work purposes. It's utilitarian. Now we're going to cut that score line that we just made. And then we're going to go in and out to the score line. If you have a hard time seeing it, just flip it over and do it from the inside. Just to make yourself that flap. Okay? One more time. We're going to cut up. I think seeing this repetitively like this will help. And this is such a simple album to make that it shouldn't take us long to put it together. I'm just going to fold it. I think I made this flap a good bit bigger. Not too bad. Doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. And then snip it. And snip it. It's not hard at all. It's just a preference thing. You're going to have to decide which way you want to go. Okay, now let's go back to the first one. Now with this one, we left these flaps here and we just did the folding and we didn't cut anything away. So what we want to do is we want to adhere this to this. Now, very important, I would not use ATG for this. I would either use liquid glue or I would use score tape or red line tape or sticky tape. Whatever tape you use for your mini albums. But for the video, I'm going to use ATG because it'll make it go faster. Okay? So, you're going to put adhesive on the right hand flap. And what I do is I put the adhesive, even if I'm using my score tape or red line or either or the other, I'm just going to run it in these same places. Just kind of like in a pie shape. In here and in here. Okay? You can also run some right around this edge just to be sure you have plenty. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to, and this may get a little harder to see, but you want to bring this piece over the top of that adhesive piece, and you're going to take it into the score line and kind of nestle it there. And once you get it there, you'll match it up with the piece underneath and then adhere that down so that you end up with this. Okay, so now we have one piece adhered together. The next thing you want to do to keep this piece and get it prepared is where you made your fold lines and they match up, you want to fold those to the center together, okay? And you're going to close this all up and go ahead and make sure everything lines up like it should and do another score. It may adjust your score line a little bit, but it's better to adjust it here than to find out later you didn't get it just right. And so you'll end up with something that does this, that opens. Okay, so that's one, so we'll move that aside. Now for the other pieces that we did, very same thing, but only using this flap. Okay, so you're going to add your adhesive to your flap. And then you're going to bring, I'm going to do it like this, you're going to bring this flap to the fold line again. And then carefully line that flap up so that you get your close. Then you'll fold this piece together, lining up the edges, and score everything. Now on this piece, you'll notice I did not score that piece in the center to start with. It just saves a step. That's completely up to you. If you want to score it first, you can. But you can see that you can get the same effect without doing all the scoring, okay? So now I'm just going to do the other ones. I'm going to push this up with my thumb, just making sure that I get these edges nice and lined up. Press it into place and score. So we have our flap. One more time. Notice that because I flipped this one over to show you how to do it, now we're kind of in a different location with our flap. It's not going to make a difference. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, it'll work either way for you. If you're going to pre-score it, you do want to make sure you have scored the correct half circle. But for the way we're doing it here, it won't matter the way we do it. And there's our same piece. Now then, we have 4 of these, and all we have to do is adhere these together, okay? Again, I would not use ATG for this part. I would use one of my more secure adhesives, but for the video, we're going to use the ATG. And here's how you'll do it. You'll just run your adhesive around the edge, around the base, and around the interior side. And you might want to put one in the middle, just for good measure. Now once you have this piece with adhesive all the way around it, you're going to bring another piece that does not have adhesive, and you're going to match those 2 pieces up. So see how I have them laid side by side here and matched up? That's the way you want those to be. Now if you want to open it, you can put your hands inside, holding them still, and let them open, and press that together. You know you have them lined up correctly because of the way we put them beside each other, and then just fold them together and adhere them. Now let's do the next one. We're going to add it to this side. Now, if you're really good, you can try to adhere it this way. Making sure that everything's folded in the same direction. You can lay this on top. I'm not good at this part. The way I did it before would be the way I would do it. But you can always lay it here, lining up the edges, and press that into place. Okay? And then more adhesive. And now what you end up with, and this is really cool, is this that wraps around and makes a circle and stands up. Isn't that neat? I'm so glad somebody mentioned this to me. I'll put her name below to say thank you, but I'm so glad she told me this because I've never even seen this before. Okay, so now we want to make it where we have a closure and where we can open it. Now this is will fit in 6 by 6 square now. So if you want to put this in an envelope, you can put this in a 6 by 6 envelope. Let me show you how we're going to create the covers, because this will become a mini album. Isn't this precious? I really like it. I just like doing that. Okay, hold on. Remember I told you I cut out the one circle that was a 1/4 inch smaller? We're going to take this circle and do some folding on it. So we're going to fold it just like we did our original circles. Just the same way. Just matching up your circles. Now this piece of paper doesn't have to match or anything. We don't care if it matches. This is going to become a pattern for us. Now you're going to take your scissors and cut away one of the triangles. Now that we've cut this away, you can see that this is now going to fit and become a cover for our album. So you can get this by just simply cutting it a 1/4 inch smaller. You lose some of your size in your circle when you do all the folding and the cutting, so that's why the 1/4 inch smaller works. Now, if it's slightly smaller when you cut it out, if after you finished all your folding and it's slightly smaller, do not worry. You can have an edge when you mat it. And if it's not where you want it, all you do is cut the edges a little bit. Let me show you. So let's say we want this to have a little more border than we ended up with after we cut it. Just place it in your trimmer. Line it up where it is, whatever how much you'd like to take off. And cut that away. And then you want to cut another side away. So you want to be sure you keep up with which side you're cutting from. It's easy for me to tell because they're hand cut, so they're not very straight. So now I have a piece that leaves me a border all the way around. So this has now become my template for everywhere inside. I can mat the inside with it all the way around, including the back. Let's work on our outside covers. Now I want to do my outside covers in red, so here's what I'm going to do. I like to cheat on cutting. So I'm going to take this pattern and put it right into the corner of my paper, making sure I have it lined up right where it needs to be. Then I'm going to take my pencil and trace it. If you have a compass at home, you could use it to get this same effect. And now we just cut these out on the line. Now, I have my cover pieces. Now, as you know, these are not going to be perfect because we hand cut these. So I suggest that you ink the edges. And I'm going to ink them with a very pale distress ink. This is antique linen. And the only reason we're doing it is because we want to hide the imperfections on the edge of our paper. So it doesn't have to be really dark. Now we're at a point that gives us more and more options. Okay? Let me show you a couple of options. To close this album, we want to create a tie that will close it. Now you can either take your ribbon, wrap it all the way around, like so, so that you see it in the edge when you put your mat on. And I'll hold that up so you can see what that looks like on the side. So you can do it like this. Or you can put your mat on first, then have your ribbon show. Especially if you have some ribbon you want to really show off, because look how cute that is. The last option, or the only other one I know to do with ribbon, is you can actually cut your ribbon shorter and adhere it underneath so that it only comes out at this section to be a bow, to tie a bow on the front and the back. Or you can place it on the front and put an embellishment on here and just tie it so you don't have it wrapped around. I personally like it wrapped all the way around, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to adhere these guys down. So there's the front. We'll flip it over and do the back. You might want to go ahead and kind of dry fit just to make sure you're doing the right area for adhesive. Then you want to decide where you want to put your ribbon, the way I'm doing it. I kind of like my ribbon a little lower than the center. So somewhere about like this, and make sure you have enough to tie a bow. So I'm going to run my adhesive right here. I'm going to run it all the way back. You might want to put the adhesive on your ribbon, but I just do it like this. Then I'll bring my ribbon out and lay it on there. And here's a tip for getting your ribbon straight. Use your cutting board to help you so you can see, or your cutting mat, so you can see that it's straight. Now we just flip it over and adhere it down here. Now, I'm going to show you doing the ribbon. If you wanted to on this side, just lay your ribbon out, put your adhesive, okay guys, so there it is with the ribbon wrapped and adhered down, and now I have these areas to tie. Now if you'd like to see me embellish this album, just leave it in the comments below and we'll embellish this together on video. But other than that, that's how simple it is. Once you've completed it, it opens, you tie these pieces together to hold it, and you can embellish inside of every one of those circles, and look how cute it is. I think it is really, really cute. So there you go, a 3D circle mini album. Let me know what you think, and thank you for the suggestions. Y'all keep them coming because it causes me to have to research, and I learn a whole lot that way. So keep them coming, guys. Until Monday, when we have Monday with May May, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.